Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to the Shabbat Morning Service of Temple Emeth in Teaneck, New Jersey. Cantor Tillam is joining us from the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary, as usual, but you can tell from my background that I am not there. I am at home this week in isolation after a little non-essential travel to help celebrate Passover and a family birthday. So we're so glad that you've joined us. I have a little sense today of what it's like to participate in services from home. And just a couple of notes to help orient you before we begin our service. So first of all, if you don't have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah near your computer, then I recommend at this time that you go to our live stream page, scroll down just a bit, and there's a section that says to access the Siddur prayer book. And you can click through and you can find a link to Mishkan Tefillah in flipbook format. Once you've done that, you would click on the one that says Shabbat weekdays and festivals, and you'll be able to follow along with the same page numbers that we call out when you're following along on the flipbook format. Next, I want to encourage everyone to post a Shabbat greeting in our live stream platforms on the chat or the comment section. It's hard to know who is watching, but we form bonds of virtual community when we identify ourselves and connect with one another. Using the chat or comment section is a wonderful way to do that. And so, having welcomed you into our sacred space, or this morning into our sacred spaces, it is my pleasure now to call upon Cantor Tillam to lead us in our opening song. We turn to page 192 in Mishkan Tefillah. Please join as together we sing Ma Tovu.
Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani b'rav chastecha avo veitecha eshtachaveh elecha kodechecha b'yiratecha. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha umkom mishkan kvodecha va'ani eshtachaveh ve'echra evrecha livnei Adonai osi. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani Tefillati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim b'rav chastecha aneni be'emet yishecha. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
As we rise to greet the morning, we thank God for the two elements of our existence, which are minor miracles and yet which we depend on for our very existence. These are the miracle of the body and the miracle of the soul. And so we turn now to page 194 in Mishkan Tefillah, and we join together in English, thanking God for the miracle of the body, after which we'll turn the page and thank God for the soul. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar, umafli la'asot. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. I offer thanks to you. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God, and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher biado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol basar ish.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan latachvivina lehavchin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kifuvim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam amechlin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish harumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam amavir shena meinai unuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
We turn now to page 204. As a Jewish people, we offer thanks to God for the blessing of the study of Torah. And so we offer a blessing first in Hebrew and then continuing in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzibanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, amelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Having offered the blessing for the study of Torah, we turn now to page 206 as we join together reciting an excerpt of Torah in fulfillment of this blessing. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We continue now on page 223. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu, you shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and psalms of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol Batishbachot, El HaHodaot Adon Haniflaot, Habocher B'Shirei Zimra, Melech El Chei HaOlamim. Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighting in song, eternal majesty.
Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah V'amad Yivarach Irutei V'amlich Malchutei V'chayechan V'yomechan V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman Kariv V'imeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Le'olam l'olamei olamaya Yetbarach V'yishtabach V'yidbar V'yidromam V'yidnasei V'yidadar V'yidolal Shemei d'Kudisha B'richu Leila min kol b'chata v'shirata Tush b'chata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma V'yimiru Amen. Please rise. Barechu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvshuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or sha'asita yifa'aru chasela. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'niskei chulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. We read together in English on page 231. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light-blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchutah Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha ve'aya advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha beveitecha Uvelachtecha v'derech u'lishachbecha v'kumecha u'kshatam le'ot al yadecha ve'ayu letotafot beineinecha u'ktavtam al mizuzot beitecha u'bish'arecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
As we prepare to sing the song that celebrates our redemption, we turn to page 239 and we read together in English. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 mi khama belim Adonai mi kamocha nedar bakodesh nora tehilo dosei fele osei fele yelai lai lai yelai lai yelai lai yelai lai 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 yelai lai 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 yelai lai alai lai lai yelai Shira chadasha shibchu geulim l'shimecha al sfat hayam yachad kulam hodu ve'imlichu ve'amera yalai lai lai yalai lai yalai lai lai yalai lai 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 yalai lai yalai lai 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 La 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 ya la la Adonai malach leolam vaed Adonai malach leolam vaed Adonai malach leolam vaed leolam vaed ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la la to Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael v'deichenu mecha Yuda b'Yisrael go aleinu Adonai Tzavot Shema Kedash Yisrael Baruch Ata Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Our service continues with the tefillah. As we prepare for this central part of our service, I offer these words. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. The tefillah begins in your Siddur on page 242. Please rise for the tefillah.
Adonai sivatai tiftachu fi agit ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Kunei Akol v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahat U'mei v'Gula libnei v'neihem למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם גזרת הרע. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי כל התרב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידה מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום. כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, הוא ישמנו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. We turn now in Mishkan Tefillah to page 250, and to honor Shabbat, we join with Cantor Tillam in singing Yismechu.
Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomerei, shomerei, shomerei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomerei, shomerei, shomerei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mikadeshei, mikadeshei shvi Shabbat. Kulam yisbe'u, pitangu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidash al Shabbat, chemdad yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomerei, shomerei, shomerei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher, למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר, זכר, למעשה בראשית שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
On page 252 in our Siddur is a prayer which continues the theme of Shabbat, which Cantor Tillam just sang of. My favorite line of this prayer is a little bit down in the middle. It says, "V'taher libenu la'ovdecha be'emet," purify our hearts to serve you in truth. I like this line in part because of the theme that a pure heart is related to truth. I like it also because the name of our temple, Emet, is here in this line. And so I invite you to read with me this prayer called Kiddushat Hayom, which helps us appreciate the many spiritual benefits of Shabbat. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh ha-Shabbat. We turn now in our Siddurim to page 259 as we offer a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul. And may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael. Shalom. We take a moment now in our service for Tfilat Halev, the opportunity to offer the prayer of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this time are found in your prayer book on pages 260 and 261. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Shmini. The word Shmini means eighth, because the portion begins on the 8th day of the ceremony that will dedicate the tabernacle and consecrate Aaron and his sons as priests. Our reading this morning is the story of Aaron's two sons, Nadav and Avihu, who bring alien fire into the sanctuary and die when the fire leaps out of their fire pans and consumes them. It is a story which is so brief and yet so powerful, and it raises more questions than it answers. I am pleased that the Torah reading this morning will be offered by Temple member Rachel Eastman, who will begin reading at Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1, which is found in the Plaut Torah commentaries on page 800, and in the new Plaut commentaries, which many of you have at home, on page 709. I invite Rachel to take her place at my podium, as I invite Cindy Simon to stand at the table at the side of the bima to have the aliyah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu Torat Emeth et Torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayichu b'nei Aharon Nadav va'Avihu ish maktoto vayidnu vahen eish vayasimu aleha ketoret vayakrivu lifnei Adonai eish nara asher lo tziva otam vatetze eish milifnei Adonai vatochal otam vayasimu Vayamutu lifnei Adonai, Vayomer Moshe el Aharon, Hu asher diber Adonai lemor, Bikrovai ekadesh, Vial pnei kol ha'am ekoved, Vayidom Aharon.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat Emeth v'chayei olam natan b'tukenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Yasher koach to Cindy for having the aliyah and to Rachel for a beautiful Torah reading. Our thoughts at this time to turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a mishaberach for healing, which is found in your Siddur on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing and you'd like to share their name, I invite you to do so by putting their name in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. In a moment, we will show the names of those we are thinking of as a congregation on our screen as the cantor sings. In addition to those names, I offer prayers for healing, Refuat HaNefesh, and Refuat HaGuf to Dion Danis, to Lydia DeSanti, to Judith Freund, and to Florette Koffler. We turn now to page 371, and we join in singing the Mishaberach.
Avotenu mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha limotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
The story of Nadav and Avihu is so confounding because it has just enough detail to keep us asking questions. The brothers act deliberately, but why did they do so? The fire that kills them comes out from God's presence, but what exactly did they do to deserve it? Moses attempts to comfort Aaron, but what did he mean when he quoted a line from God that the Torah does not previously record? Depending on the perspective of the commentator, the Nadav and Avihu story has been interpreted as a polemic against religious innovation or against inebriation. It has been said that they were prideful, and it has also been said that they were just swept up in a spiritual moment. The same Midrash, in fact, says that they were punished for something they did at Sinai and for their actions in that moment. The story ends there after just 3 verses. It is possible that it was a longer story, some of which was lost to history. That's almost certainly the case with other Torah stories, such as the bridegroom of blood story in Exodus and the plague in Numbers. But despite the fact that the story is short, there's no other evidence that something was cut out. More likely, the original audience knew the details and the moral, and this was a shorter version that served as a reminder. It can also be argued that though the drama of the story reaches its apex in these 3 verses, it doesn't really end there. There's still the matter of the burial and the injunction against drinking alcohol. So the story lingers, one could argue, from the holy to the mundane. It endures as one of the easiest stories to read and one of the most difficult to understand. I will offer one interpretation not because I believe it any more authoritative than any other, but simply because I learned it recently and I take comfort in it. According to a Midrash, when Moses offers his words of comfort to Aaron, what he is trying to say is the following: I knew that this sanctuary of God was to be sanctified by the death of those that stood near it, but I thought that either you or I was destined for this. Now I perceive that your sons were nearer to God than we. May this text continue to inspire new questions and new interpretations. May the deaths of Nadav and Avihu always trouble us and challenge us to consider intention and justice and comfort. And may our quest for answers never cease. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues at this time with the Aleinu, which is found in your Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol atet gdula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kegoye haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpchot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kachol amonam v'anachanu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim livnei melech Malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'aya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shema echad.
In a moment, we will offer the mourner's Kaddish, praising God even as we feel loss and grief. The loss and grief we feel as a Jewish community is especially acute this week, as a couple of days ago we observed Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and a couple of days from now we will observe Yom HaZikaron, the day in Israel that mourns the fallen soldiers and the victims of terrorism. In the spirit of Yom HaShoah, I offer a reading to introduce the Kaddish, which is found on page 596. We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and in too many of them we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed in our memory, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims and martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth, and so many at Dachau, at Buchenwald, at Babi Yar. What can we say? What can we do? How bear the unbearable, or accept what life has brought to our people? All who are born must die, but how shall we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter of the innocent, cut off before their time? They lived with faith, not all, but many. And surely many died with faith in God, in life, in the goodness that even flames cannot destroy. May we find a way to the strength of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers rise whenever Jews worship. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of these unfinished lives. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning. Fred Siegel, uncle of Arlene Packles and Stephen Packles. Robert Newman, brother of Michael Newman. Judith Ann Berg, friend of Naomi and Gerald Weber. And Angela Shainman. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week. Rose Aaron, Stanley Atkins, Louis Becker, Alan S. Blank, Michael Bloom, Rose Brashear, Morris Broida, Eleanor Brooke, Richard Carpenter, Adolf Klacko, Fanny Deutsch, Paul Falick, Jules Fisherman, George Hart, Abraham Haas, Richard Helfman, George Bud Houghton, Stella Klempner, Dora Klepper, Mo Kromberg, Dorothy Lane, Gerald Lazar, Cy Lazar, Morris Lefkowitz, Harry Leventhal, William R. Liberman, Carolyn Litwin, Reinheimer Loeb family, David May, the family of Albert Meyer, James Lewis Meyer, Jules Orloff, Samuel Pastor, Gladys Paul, Dorothy Persky, Harry Patel, Clem Plager, Max Pollock, Mildred Moravnik Powell, Isidore Reich, Lisa Reinheimer, Betty Rosenberg, Harry Rosenstein, Samuel Schaefer, Francis Schreiber, Bertha Camilla and Laura Schrottman, Karen Nadell Spearer, Mimi Sprinkle, Ernest Stern, Irving Trieger, Meyer Valen, Hornis Wisbaum, Meyer Wunderlich, Murray Wunderlich, and Lubov Jolens. And on this week, when we commemorate Yom HaShoah, we remember these 6 victims of the Holocaust: Meyer Furman of the Soviet Union, age 41, Polina Frankel of Romania, age 37, Josef Frankel of Romania, age 40, Dora Frankel of Romania, age 63, Naum Kushner of the Soviet Union, age 33, and Mordechai Kushner of the Soviet Union, age 36. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn to page 598 and we recite the Mourner's Pledge. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash Shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Leolam Ulalmei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Shmei D'Kudsha B'richu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Ta'amiran Be'alma V'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. It is my pleasure now to call upon Ken Schur, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth's Shabbat Morning Service on live stream. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., please join Rabbi Serbiu and our religious school students for a talk with author and illustrator Peter Sis. Peter will discuss his new kids' book, Nikki and Vera, which tells the true story of a man who rescued 669 Jewish children during the Holocaust and one of the little girls he saved. State of Israel Bonds invites you to mark Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, by attending an online conversation with the cast and director of the HBO Max show Valley of Tears. The event is this Monday, April 12th at 8 p.m. On the Israel Bonds website to register. Next Sunday morning, April 18th, Rabbi Serbiu will discuss lessons from the pandemic at a Bayachad breakfast on Zoom. The rabbi will offer his assessments on what will go back to normal once the pandemic is over and what changes are here to stay. Bring a bagel to your computer and join us. On Sunday afternoon, April 25th at 1:30 p.m., Rabbi Serbiu will moderate a presentation by Rabbi Lee Beisel, author of the book Refugees in America, Stories of Courage, Hope, and Resilience in Their Own Words. The event is hosted by the United Synagogue of Hoboken, and advanced registration is required through their website. Thank you to today's volunteer in the live stream control booth. Dan Fershine, Michael Eastman, and Amanda Eastman are at the controls this morning. Remember to keep the weekly email you received Thursday in your inbox all week long. It has the login codes for all of the week's Zoom programming. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken, and Shabbat Shalom. We are about to offer the closing blessings of our service, the Kiddush and Motzi. So now is a good time to go get the wine or grape juice and the challah or other bread from the kitchen and bring it to the computer so you can partake in these blessings. Or you can take a moment right now to offer One last greeting for Shabbat Shalom, perhaps a Yasher Koach for Rachel Eastman, or for Cindy Simon, Rachel for reading Torah, and Cindy for having the Aliyah, or Yasher Koach for Cantor Tillam for leading our music, our Chazanut, so beautifully today. It's a little strange to see you only on the screen, Cantor, but I think it worked. So we are...
It worked great, Rabbi.
And join with us.
It's just very weird. Hello.
But we hit every cue.
We did. We've been doing this so long that it really doesn't matter where either of us is. We're going to get it right. So thank God. Please join me in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. And we join together in the Motzi.
Oh, this is heavy. Hold on. Oh, gosh. Okay, I'll be all right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. B'te'avon, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
and
Shalom.
as we conclude our service, if you are sharing your Mikdash Ma'at, your miniature sanctuary, with others, you can turn to them. Otherwise, we look to one another as a virtual community, and we conclude our worship by saying Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.